The howling of the wolves could be heard across the valley as the sound was carried through the night. The great bull moose turned. Within an hour, the fast-falling snow would be too deep for an attack from the wolves, and he would be safe for the night. But he was still anxious. He recognized the voice of a large, white-muzzled wolf, leader of the pack. The pack had been harassing him with growing persistence for the past 2 years. The howls could be heard, but came no closer. Eventually, the moose settled down for the night, working his 700-kilo body into the snow. By morning, he would be buried, but warm. Dawn's gray light brought him a view of the snow-muffled forest. Unlike the wolves, that ranged far and wide across the frozen tundra. He spent his life only along a couple of thousand meters of wooded shoreline flanking a lake. Mid-lake, an island, offered his favorite browsing food, balsam fir. In winter, when the lake froze, he walked on ice to the island and swam back from the island in summers. In one agile movement, the moose rose and whirled, scattering the snow in a cloud. He listened intently. Nothing. Seeing some quaking aspens, he headed downhill towards them. Among the aspens, he grew more nervous. The wolves would soon come again, and this was a bad place for defense. Only the island with its thicker cover of trees offered refuge. A wolf's moan came from the north. Despite the cold, the lake was treacherous. The ice was thin in certain places. But if he remained where he was, he would face a fight with the odds against him. Certain that the pack was closing in, he set out across the ice. Halfway, he saw the wolves bursting from the mainland trees, and he increased his speed. Nearly 30 meters before he could reach the island, the ice cracked under his hooves. His front feet plunged through and his muzzle smashed onto the ice. As he struggled, his hindquarters went down too. In a moment, the snarling wolves encircled him. When he looked up, it was directly into the smoldering eyes of the wolf with the white muzzle. He was trapped. The moose knew every centimeter of the lake beneath. It was his favorite aquatic feeding ground. Each spring and every summer throughout his 15 years of life, he had prowled the shallows here, diving as deep as 6 meters and staying submerged for as long as a minute to rip up mouthfuls of herbage. He brought his head up, trying to hook an antler into the white-muzzled wolf. A spray of ice flew. It froze on his back and hung down in icicles. He heaved himself forward, but the ice buckled. The white-muzzled wolf, which had seized the moose's nose, lost his grip and scrabbled frantically to escape. Running for the island, the moose quickly reached a speed of 25 kilometers an hour. Despite the ice and snow, despite the wolves closing in on him, he was a juggernaut. He plowed through 1.5 meters of drift as if it weren't there. And then, finally, he was on the island. He crashed among the closely packed trees, turning his antlers back and forth to pass between them. He could hear the fading sounds of the yelping wolves. The uphill run through the trees took him to a rocky knoll at the center of this island. Once there, he looked back at the lake. The white-muzzled wolf and 5 others were circling some bloodstains in the snow. The white-muzzled wolf lifted his head and his distinctive voice rang out. Then others joined him in a group, howling. They had lost for now, and they were making their displeasure known. Gradually, the moose slowed his breath. He stripped foliage from a nearby fir and chewed, his eyes half closed. Memories of the island came back strongly to him. 13 years ago, his mother had waded into the lake and headed for the island. A gangling youngster, 18 months old and weighing no more than 200 kilos. He had followed her unhesitatingly. But that day she turned on him, charged and drove him into deeper water. Hurt and puzzled, he floundered back to the mainland alone. His dependency on his mother ended. Still, he swam to the island often, and after his mother was killed by the wolves, it became the center of his own territory. Abruptly, the old bull was aroused by the sound of a single wolf howling once more. He felt the cold biting into his skin. He needed to eat again, to take in part of his daily 13.5 kilos of browse. As he turned hesitantly, the white-muzzled wolf appeared at the edge of the clearing. The moose watched. His chewing stopped, but the wolf lay down. At this moment, he was only watching, waiting. Some ravens settled onto a nearby tree. If the wolf killed, they would eat, and they knew this wolf. The moose hesitated, then headed towards the eastern end of the island, where trees caught the wind and caused deep snowdrifts. No wolf could attack him there. His sensitive ears, which could hear footsteps from 700 or 800 meters away, picked up the steady scrunching of the wolf following him. Then, all at once, the smell of wolf overtook him. The moose snorted and charged blindly forward. His antlers were caught between two trees and, with a snap, broke off. His flight was now truly panic-stricken. He knocked down small trees and smashed against trunks. Ravens fluttered ahead, in anticipation of the kill, but the moose remained in unpredictable, blind panic. Suddenly, Faulty Lungs wheezing, he wheeled in his tracks. When White Muzzle loped confidently into range, he saw, to his astonishment, the moose charging towards him. The wolf leapt aside, but floundered into a deep drift. He looked back, amber-eyed, in time to see, just above his head, the huge hoof that would blot out the gray sky forever. When the spring came to the lake, the old moose was still on the island. He found the last reachable twigs of balsam fir near the spot where he had killed the wolf. Then, after the great thaw melted the ice, the moose sank into the still, frigid lake waters and came up with a mouthful of succulent green vegetation. The island belonged to him now, and the coming summer too. Kell Show Franklin Russell.